It's 9:40 a.m. in Tehran. At a high-security government compound near Pasteur Square, Iran's top leadership has gathered for an emergency session. A sudden Israeli missile barrage obliterates the buildings before a single alarm can sound. In just 30 seconds, the command structure of the Iranian state is physically dismantled. 30 senior officials are killed in the opening volley, effectively erasing the country's military and religious steering committees. Among the dead is the most critical figure in the country, Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei. This 30-second window of violence collapsed a decades-long geopolitical stalemate, stripping the Islamic Republic of its veteran leadership in a single morning. The Decapitation Strike is followed by an immediate, massive secondary wave. 200 Israeli fighter jets and a swarm of U.S. Tomahawk cruise missiles moved to systematically dismantle Iran's air defenses, clearing a path across the country's eastern provinces. The scale of the bombardment brings immediate civilian devastation. In the Hormozgan province, a strike near a naval base hits the Sartibeh Elementary Girls' School. State officials report at least 175 dead, the majority of them likely children. As the smoke clears over Tehran, the survivors scramble to prevent a total collapse. A provisional government forms within hours, struggling to maintain a chain of command while the nation's previous hierarchy lies in ruins. The United States and Israel are now fully braced for the aftermath. They have cornered a wounded regime that, having lost its leadership, now has very little left to lose. Iran's response arrives under Operation True Promise 4. Over 200 missiles saturate Israeli airspace. The Retaliation bleeds into the Gulf. Drones strike Dubai's airport, and interception debris ignites luxury hotels. American hubs are targeted. Ballistic missiles hammer Qatar, and a drone strikes a Bahrain tower near the U.S. Fifth Fleet. The original hope for surgical, contained assassination has vanished. Instead, the strike has activated a chaotic, region-wide ignition that is now overwhelming Allied defense grids. The battlefield continues to widen as secondary proxy fronts open. Drone swarms penetrate the airspace over Jordan and Saudi Arabia, forcing military units across the continent into active combat. Strategic chokepoints are next to fall. In the Red Sea, Houthi rebels abandon their ceasefire to begin choking off global shipping lanes once again. The logistical failure is total. Airspaces across the Middle East close, commercial aviation is grounded, and the regional economy is placed on an emergency footing. The initial decapitation strike in Tehran has successfully triggered a massive, continent-spanning network of kinetic destruction and economic disruption. In the aftermath, Washington stands by its justification. President Trump maintains the strike was a defensive necessity, launched to eliminate an imminent threat of Iranian aggression against American troops. However, U.S. intelligence tells a different story. Internal reports suggest Iran was still years away from a nuclear weapon, and their missile arsenal lacked the range to strike American soil. The regime was also at its weakest point in decades. Since late 2025, a crashed currency and soaring food prices had fueled mass demonstrations that the government was struggling to suppress. The strike appears to have capitalized on Iran's visible fragility rather than a direct military threat. This classifies the conflict as a war of choice, an optional preemptive strike that many international legal experts consider a violation of global law. This decision has sparked a constitutional crisis in the United States, as the executive branch committed the nation to a preemptive war without seeking congressional approval. The human cost is mounting. American soldiers have been killed in the retaliatory strikes, and NATO has placed its global radar systems on high alert, fearing the activation of sleeper cells across Europe and North America. Economically, the world enters uncharted territory. With the Strait of Hormuz closed, the resulting spike in oil prices guarantees a crippling global energy crisis. A surgical strike intended to secure American interests and preempt a threat has instead ignited an inescapable, multi-front global war.